So now that we have seen how to actually chat with the application using Jupyter Notebook, it is time to add a UI application that is a better way to interact with the large language model. A sample application on how to create a UI interface for the uh, large language model is available in the chatbot UI folder. The deployment walkthrough, the one I'm talking to, it's obviously provided here, but in general the steps are as follows. So you'll see the next thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a project inside Reddit OpenShift. This can be done using either the console or the CLI tool. I'll call it chatbot, and then there are two config maps in the folder that I will add in order to create the settings, then the service, and then do the deployment. Deployment already uses a readily available container that I created and is stored in Quay.io and uses version 1.1 of the container. And the deployment is scaled down to 0 by default, so we need to ensure that it is updated to 1 after we configure all the environment parameters. We can add a root so that we can access the application from the outside of the cluster, and then this is something how it will look like. So keep in mind that this application is a very basic one. It's just to showcase what is possible. It's not a real life application. Alright, so let's head over to the OpenShift console and let's create a new project. We said we're going to call it chatbot, and now we're going to go to config maps and create a config map, and the config map is here. Deployment. Copy this. I need to make sure that I am in the right project. Chatbot. Okay, create config map. I'm gonna create it, and let's take the next one, the prompt. Create a new config map. Add the prompt. Okay, now we can create a service, networking. Create a service. Alright, now we can actually create a route right now because we already have the service, and we are going to name the route chatbot. Route chatbot. So we select the service, target port, redirect. Okay, we created it. And now we go to deployments and we create a deployment. We have the deployment YAML. This is a very large file. Okay. This in here. Right. So now we can use this one. Make sure that it's on 1.1. Okay. The prompt, we have the volume. So this will basically mount whatever is stored inside the collections and the prompt.txt file inside this folder over here. Okay. Now let's review. So for the inference endpoint, the one that we have over here, this is something we are going to collect from the test LLM. Actually, it's in routes and test LLM, and this is our. No, I'm sorry. I think this is it. No, this is the one, inference server URL. And it is here. However, this is not the entire URL, because if we scroll down here, where we create, we have a /v1. So we need to add a /v1. Okay. Now, the models is in here. Models, that is good. Milvus host is here. Milvus username in our case was root because we didn't change the default one, and default Milvus password was Milvus. Alright, now the demo collection, we don't have to mention it here because we already configured it in the config map. So now we can create a deployment, and now if we go to environment, we can review all the information, right? So it appears to be okay. So now we're gonna go back to details, and we're gonna click scale to 1. And this is going to get the image from Quay and then create a deployment, and we need to wait until it's up and running, and then we're going to use the route that we created here in order to access the application. Alright, so the pod is now running, so we're going to go to the routes, and you remember that okay, so our collection, I forgot to change the collection values. Alright, let's change those. So we're going to go to deployments, we're going to scale this down, and we're going to go to the config maps and the collections, and we need to edit the config map. So our collection is called demo collection, and the display name is gonna be I'm gonna fix this so that the repository has the correct information. So now save this. The prompt is good. So now the deployment has been configuration has been updated. We can go to deployments, and we can scale this back up. Alright, so now we have the correct setting, we have the documentation here, and we can type in the question. How can I create a data science project? And we should expect to receive a similar response. Alright, so we have the sources, and we have the exact same response that was provided. Okay, so that is all.